Podtacular episode 350, Dat Tarp, for February 28th, 2013. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I'm your host, Dat Tarp.
And I'm your other host, Brent Gamer.
And today is our 350th episode, which is a big milestone for us. We did our 300 episodes big celebration back in July, which was actually on our 7th year anniversary. And now we've hit another 50 episodes later, so we've actually been putting these out very quickly, a lot more than one a week for the past several months. I know I've been going off like crazy, and Brent's back on the show, so I'm sure he's kind of feeling how crazy the podcasting life with Podtacular is.
Oh yeah, I can feel the craziness.
Yeah. I like, he changed his Skype picture. I don't know if you guys probably haven't seen it, but it used to be just him, and then he has, his newer picture is one with sunglasses, and his little quote is, "Podtacular's future is so bright, I need shades."
Future's so bright, I gotta wear shades. So,
Yep.
Yep.
But 350 is also signifying something else for us today. We are live streaming our podcast starting today, and for every episode in the future, with a few minor exceptions, of course, like when we have very special guests where shows have to be pre-screened, or at conventions where we don't have the capability to go live necessarily. But other than that, you will find us on Twitch TV every time we record a show from here on out.
Yes. Find us on Twitch.
Yeah, so I think there's plenty of other podcasts that have been doing this for a while, and I think it's just kind of time that we took the step to the live stage, and hopefully you guys like what you hear, and get to hear us unfettered, unfiltered, unedited, and get to really see how many air gaps that we have, all the bleeped out words that get said, and all that good stuff. So it's the raw, unedited cut of Podtacular.
Uncensored, unrated.
At times immature, but
yes.
Other than that,
this is the NC-17 version of Podtacular on Twitch. If you're listening to this later, this isn't. It's edited, but
yeah. For the most part, it's pretty much the same. But whenever I go and edit a podcast, I can trim out from just silence alone about 3 to 5 minutes. So what you're getting is not too much longer, and all the content, I rarely cut anything out of the show, so you're pretty much getting the same thing, but instead of listening to it a few hours later, or whenever you decide to download the podcast and listen to it, then you get to listen to us live. And you get to hear the annoying fire truck outside, because that probably won't show up in post. So
I think we should have a party every 50 episodes. Like, we should just celebrate every 50.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know why.
I think 50s are good just for good milestones, and I think going live is a good milestone for us for this one. Episode 500, I think, is going to be another big one, because if, by my calculations and timing it right, it'll actually be around our 10th anniversary.
Hmm? Yeah.
So if we get to 500 episodes, which I don't see us not getting there, but that's going to be a huge milestone if we do get there.
Yeah.
I think we deserve like a big Halo cake or something if we get to 500 episodes.
Yeah, like BS Angel hops out of the cake. Be like, "Hey, Podpack! 500 episodes!"
Yeah, because that'd be just amazing.
That'd be great. I would love that.
And I haven't even been... I've been here, I guess, for the majority of the shows now, but still, that would be about just shy of 350 episodes for me if we got to 500 episodes. So... that's insane.
On episode 500, will Halo 5 have come out? Probably by then?
Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Halo 5 would have come out by then. So
we'll be playing an entirely new game. New content.
Yeah. It's going to be sweet.
We'll be talking about how they took Ordnance out of Halo, making it fun once more.
I don't see Ordnance going away.
No more bolt shot.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Vehicles are actually, effective once again.
Yeah, that vehicle bounce needs to kind of bounce back into the realm of making the vehicle a powerful weapon. Okay, now I have people tweeting at me, and it's Keat. Oh boy.
Tell Brent to shut up. Get him off the show.
So this is going to be a little interesting experience for us because we're doing this live stream. So we've actually been doing our last 3 shows live stream. We've actually just had some silent tweets and Facebook posts go out, just kind of as test streams to see what capabilities we had and see to work at all the kinks and bugs. And thankfully, through those 3 shows, everything's been worked out. So you should have a pretty seamless and flawless listening experience for the live stream.
Yes.
So, but enough about the live stream. Let's talk about some Halo goodness.
I do like Halo.
Yes. I think everyone here loves Halo, or else they wouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Well, I hope so, unless you're just really, really bored. I'm going to listen to this show about a game I don't play. Oh, this is interesting.
Or maybe they're just curious. Maybe they want to know what a little bit of Halo is, and they found us on iTunes or something. And if that's the case, then welcome. You will probably be a little drowned out by how much detail we go into stuff, but I guarantee you, if you stick around long enough, you'll get used to our antics and get the little bit of Podtacular craziness in you, and you'll want more and more and more, I think. So as far as the newcomers go, welcome to the show. I don't think I've actually ever done that before, and it's probably about time I did. So welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 350. You came in 349 episodes late.
Well, I mean...
Late to the party.
I came in, I guess, 162 episodes late then.
Yeah.
Because that's when I started doing the podcast.
I can't remember which episode I got in on. It was one of the early ones.
It was one of the really early ones. I think...
Yeah.
Maybe 50s or before that.
The first episode I actually hosted, I think, was 66, I think.
Nice.
It was episode 66, recorded on 6/6 of 06. It was creepy.
That's kind of ironic.
Bad omen, but
yeah.
Fun facts.
But you're still here. We still love you, and the people love you, and that's why you're here.
Well, I hope they do. I'm waiting to have people complain about me so that I can get kicked off.
Nah, I think people. I keep on telling you, people love your voice, man. You just have that golden voice, that golden podcasting voice.
Yeah, I always wondered what would happen if I lost my voice. Like, what if I get laryngitis? What am I going to do? How am I going to host the show?
I'm sure people love you just the same.
Be like this.
We got a little off topic, didn't we?
A little bit, but it's episode 350. We deserve it.
Yeah.
We deserve a tangent every now and then.
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of what we were built off of, kind of, originally, too, is tangents.
Yeah, tangents are fun.
And then we matured into a podcast for 350 episodes.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of getting back on topic, what is the main topic for this episode, Dustin?
So the main topic of this episode is something that came out this last week, which is the Majestic Map Pack DLC, which features 3 new maps. We had a show about this last week that we talked about all the coverage that Waypoint put out before the maps got released, but now we have the maps in our hands. We got to play it during Monday Night Matchmaking and play a little bit after the fact, or I did at least, and now we can have our own opinions of the map. So that and the bulletin update we will cover in this episode. So let's start with the maps. We got to play them during Monday Night Matchmaking, both Brent and I, with some friends who sent us invites to me on Monday, and we had so many people that we really didn't get a chance to go into proper matchmaking. So we were messing around with game types like Capture the Flag and King of the Hill on these tiny, tiny maps. And for some of them, they worked out all right. But for others, it was just massive chaos because of the maps not being designed for big team in mind.
Yeah.
So I believe we had a 14-person game of King of the Hill on Landfall. I think we had a CTF game of 6-on-6 on Skyline. I want to say Skyfall, dang it. On Skyline. And then we had a free-for-all on a couple of those maps, and it turned out it was fun. It's definitely not one of those things that flows very well, but it was definitely a lot of fun to see what big team does to those kind of maps that aren't specifically designed for that kind of gameplay.
Yeah, it breaks them. You stay alive for 4 or 5 seconds, then you respawn. It's pretty great.
Yeah. So let's go over the maps real quick and kind of talk about what we like, dislike about the maps, and all that goodness. So let's start with Landfall. Landfall, as you guys know, is one that's built off of a kind of a UNSC port. You can see spaceships landing and escort or evacuating citizens of this planet. It's during this big kind of conflict between the Covenant and humans, and then you're on this kind of docking area with a bunch of crates and forklifts and everything, and this is the asymmetrical map of the lot. Both the other maps are symmetrical, but this one is asymmetrical just about in every way, shape, or form that you can think of. And there's a lot of kind of throwback to Longshore from Halo 3. There's lots of different feels from that. And there was another map that someone mentioned.
It's the pit. It's exactly like the pit.
No, it's not the pit. No, it's not the pit. There was another one that someone mentioned. I can't think of it at the moment.
I remember mentioning Turf, but that was before I played it.
That was it. Yeah, that was it.
But it's not like Turf at all now that I played it. It's too open.
That was
Turf
what we
is
said.
About kind of tight corridors and.
Well, there's some open spots.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they're kind of near the front of the map where the Warthog is. Most of the fun part of Turf is in the kind of closed off street areas.
Right.
Where, I mean, you can't really. There's not really any closed off areas on Landfall.
all the inside stuff is pretty much. It's a little confusing to get around if you haven't played it before, but once you've played the map 2 or 3 times, you kind of have a general idea of how the layout is and where to get from one side to the other.
Yeah, it was incidentally my least favorite map, and I thought it would be my favorite, so I just didn't like the inside portions. Like, the outside was fine. You know, the crates are kind of haphazardly placed. I didn't think they were especially, well placed and designed specifically to be there. They just kind of felt like they were kind of thrown around. But the
like
outside
how you would probably normally find them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine. But I mean, if you're going to design a map, they've always kind of went with the idea that maps, the geometry needs to be fun to play with. It needs to affect the flow of gameplay. That's kind of how it always. I mean, the good maps have always been on Halo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big problem, but the biggest problem for me was just the inside portions. Like, I didn't like the vehicle hangar. It just felt haphazard. You run in there. There's kind of these choke points that everybody throws grenades into, and it's a cluster. You run it in there for King of the Hill or Capture the Flag, anything like that.
Yeah. I actually haven't played Capture the Flag on this one yet. The only ones I've played so far are Slayer and King of the Hill. I haven't done any extraction on any of them either, because for a minute matchmaker we really didn't do any matchmaking. But as far as just kind of how it flows in general, there's about an even amount of people going through the outer parts, and I think more of the battles occur on the inner parts of the map. At least from when we played, and I don't know if that's just because we had so many people playing it, but as far as the flow of the map, whenever there's rockets up, you definitely see people running for rockets, and then if you're not playing a game type like King of the Hill, I think you see a lot more of those battles happening in that main vehicle garage.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, the garage is kind of the area of the map that I hate the most. Or dislike the most. I don't really hate the map. It's fun enough, but I don't know. It just kind of feels haphazardly designed. I'm not sure, especially when you contrast it with the other 2 maps, which are very, very purposely designed.
Yeah, they're very symmetric.
Yeah,
and they're very functional. Where this one's a lot more freeform, and this one is definitely kind of fallen down to the bottom of my list in terms of which map I like the best in this set.
They need a Gosshog on Landfall. That would be fun.
So you can spawn a mongoose and a ghost, but you can't do warthogs.
Right.
And it's really it's not really big enough for a Gosshog to begin with.
I mean, you could run it around the outside. It'd be
yeah,
tough, but
you don't have many places to go, really, though.
Yeah, that's the point. You just gotta run it around the outside. It's like outside defense. It's like you don't run outside because you're going to get blown away by the goshawk.
Eh,
It's like Zanzibar. Like Zanzibar was extremely small in terms of, a big team map. But there was a goshawk on that, and it just completely dominated the outside portions of the map if you knew what you were doing.
yeah, but the majority of the map was outside. You had the one base that was inside, and then you had a few tunnels and things. But a good portion of that was outside, where this one, it seems like a majority of it is inside. Even though the inside part doesn't take up the most space, the majority of playtime is in the inside of the map.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the goshawk would work better, because the thing about Zanzibar, the goshawk was kind of overpowered on that map, especially on Halo 2, because you could go like 25-0 in a goshawk, assuming the other team didn't know how to stop you. They didn't know how to use the sniper rifle right, or the rocket launcher.
I think with just the design of the map in mind, it just wouldn't fit very well.
Yeah, I get that. I just like vehicles. I don't know why. That's always been one of my favorite parts of Halo. I miss vehicle play because it was such a big part of Halo 2. And Halo 1 to an extent. I don't really know that much about Halo 1 multiplayer. I wasn't around for that, but
Yeah. Well,
it just seemed like it.
We were talking a little pre-show about kind of the lack of powerful vehicles, and I've heard it from plenty of other places too, where the vehicles don't really play that much of a powerful role in Halo anymore. When in Halo 2 and definitely in Halo 3, they played a significant role in map control, and now with the ability to zap them with plasma pistols and everything else, the Spartan lasers, its vehicles are kind of like just toys that you play around with every now and then to either get to another side of the map, or if you're good enough with the Banshee, you can use that for a while before you get lasered out of the sky.
Yeah, I remember I really loved the laser in Halo 3, and then I came to hate the laser and everything else. Like, just the idea that you can blow a vehicle away from anywhere on the map, given that you can see it. I mean, and it's instantaneous too. You don't have to like lead it. Like, if you could get a cross-map vehicle kill with a rocket launcher, that was cool, because you really had to like lead that shot.
Yeah,
you had to have an understanding of how the rocket moved and how fast it moved.
Yeah. I think one of the other things is because how much damage you can do to a vehicle now with something like the sniper rifle and the DMR. I think that has another thing to kind of play into it, because you can just have a whole team pound on one of the vehicles that an enemy is in, and you can blow that thing up pretty quickly by projectiles. Where I think it needs to be a little bit more hardened against those kind of projectiles, and when it comes to Spartan lasers and rockets, then yeah, definitely those should be able to blow it up.
Yeah.
But vehicles kind of need a buff in this game.
Yeah. They need to make some new vehicles, too. I mean, it's obviously going to have to wait till Halo 5. They're not going to add extra weapons and vehicles in Halo 4 or anything, but I don't know. They need to get back to their vehicle roots for big team battle. I think there needs to be like two different sets of gameplay philosophy. There's the 4v4 style Halo, and then there's the 8v8 style Halo. And they're completely different in terms of gameplay design, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's move on to Monolith. Now, this map was a little bit bigger than I anticipated originally, and the play areas behind each of the bases is actually a little more intricate than I originally thought. So yeah. I thought the two side bases with the Forerunner man cannons were actually just kind of flat on the back end. I didn't know there were actually walkways and ramps that led up to certain areas that they did. And then behind each base, with how many levels there are and different ways to get to each level, it's just, those are pretty intricate.
Yeah, it's like your own little mini base back there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. The man cannons are kind of suicide to jump through. If anybody sees you coming, or if anybody's on the other side of the man cannon, they can just blow you out of the air.
Yeah, you're screwed.
So they're not as effective as I thought they might be, which is good because it could be overpowered. But
yeah, the effect I find for the man cannons, or the times I see them being very effective, is when you're playing things like Regicide and King of the Hill, where you can have one buddy go over, and if they have rocket launchers, maybe they can place a well-placed rocket and take out whoever's in the hill or the king. And if you don't have one of those, then it's just a good way to scout out. And if you're in a party, you can kind of yell out to your teams, hey, there's this many guys are in these positions. So it has its limited use, but it is usable in some form or fashion.
Yeah, recon tool. Just in general, man cannons and rockets go together like peanut butter and chocolate. It's a good combination. I like it.
Yep. One of those things on the map that I also found, they kind of explained this in their videos when they were talking about it and on the live stream, and it really plays true to the fact that everyone rushes for those rockets at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
and everybody
rushes for
grenade
those rockets.
spams the middle.
Yep. One of the best ways to kind of get those rockets I've found is a lot of people will just chunk grenades and then go through the bottom. If you can chunk a grenade at the bottom and then chunk a grenade on the top to kind of defer the other side from coming up, you can actually get in there, and by the time you drop in, a lot of the explosions will go off and you can grab the rockets pretty quickly.
Yeah. That hole in the top of the middle adds a weird dynamic, considering how small of an addition to the map it is. Because people don't really think about it when they're running through the middle, but you can get assassinations and stuff real easy that way, just falling down and running after somebody.
And this map is a very multi-layered level, and if you have a hard time really judging where people are going to be coming from and throwing in that third dimension in there, then it's really going to throw off your game. It threw me off for a little while until I figured out where people can jump up and come from and all that stuff. So it's definitely one of those maps where it takes a little time to get used to, and you really have to get the mindset that there's so many levels in here that people can be coming from more directions than you originally thought. Because in most levels, you have predefined doors that people come through, or if you're in a wide open area, they're not really going to be coming out of anywhere that's going to surprise you. But for Monolith, there's so many different vectors of attack, and it can be overwhelming.
Well, and jetpacks too, because most of the various levels are open. You can be at any level and jump up to it, given you have a jetpack to get up there. So you're never really safe, even if you think you are. I found that playing around the sides is generally a good strategy for me, because at least then I know that I'm not going to get attacked from one side. They can't come from the wall or jump up from the back area there. One time I had the jetpack and I man cannoned over to the other base, and I don't know why, but I started using my jetpack to get some more momentum across, and just completely flung myself out of the map.
Yeah.
Suicide that way, so be careful of that.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for how far those man cannons actually push you in if you're using the jetpack.
Yeah, they're more powerful than you might think they are.
Yeah. Which also kind of throws an interesting dynamic in for the objective games. It really throws in that unexpected piece that you normally don't have. I was going to say that I think one of the reasons why I have a problem with Prisoner so much is because it's multi-tiered. It's mainly a multi-tiered level, and Monolith is kind of like that, although the inside part is more open and not as complex, although you do have like the drop down in the middle and you have the raised little corners on the edges, but in the base it's just a little hectic sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite game type on here so far has to be Regicide.
I don't think I played Regicide. Wait, I did. I think I played one match during Monday Night Matchmaking in Regicide. Yeah.
So it was a little bit bigger team than him, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I didn't win that match. Now that I think about it, I lost most of the matches. My favorite game type, I guess, was King of the Hill, because I actually won that match. And that can get real hectic, too.
And the thing about King of the Hill is, if you have the hill at one of the bases, because there's so many levels, you can have people on multiple levels, and it'll be a stalemate for literally minutes on end. There was one game that we played where the just about the whole other team was inside the tunnel underneath, and I was in just one of the corners up on one of the corner pillars on top. I was just sitting there crouched, and I would see people run by me, and they would be coming into the hill, and they would be dropping into the hole, trying to figure out where it is. And I sat there for about 30, 45 seconds before someone noticed me. And then they finally took me out. And then someone else afterwards came and did the same thing that I was doing.
Camping in the hole.
Yeah, he didn't live as long as I did because they finally caught on to what we were doing. But it's it throws an interesting dynamic into something like King of the Hill, where you have the hill on multiple tiers. And on the red and blue bases, those span across 3 different tiers. You have the top level, you have the middle level, and then you have the bottom ones in the tunnels.
Yes.
So that's even more crazy.
Monolith was the first map where the BR really started to click with me in Halo 4. And I've been playing the game for a while now, obviously. But I think it's just the multiple levels, the elevation that you have to shoot people from. It really got me into the kind of method and cadence of the battle rifle. Because at first I was always getting killed by the battle rifle, and I could never win my BR matches. Sometimes I would win with a DMR over a BR at a good range, but at a short range, the BR would always beat me. And I really didn't understand it, but now playing Monolith, I think I finally got it.
Interesting. It is... So all these maps are pretty much, I think, the smallest maps in the game. The only other smaller one I can think is Exile. That was kind of small compared to some of the other ones. Haven is a significantly small one, but other than that, there's not too many small maps that I can think of.
Yeah.
That's off the top of my head. But
yeah, it's absolutely nothing like Haven, though.
No, it's not. all these maps play very differently to the maps that we have, and I've really liked what they've done with both DLC packs so far. They've done a very good job to bring fresh, new environments to the multiplayer and not make it something that seems repetitive and bland. For the big team maps that we got with Crimson, it works very well, except for some of the achievements. People have a few gripes about that, but nonetheless. And then we have these maps that are a lot smaller for kind of core team play and free-for-all type stuff. So they're coming out with very good maps.
Yeah, they just need to learn how to make fun achievements. If they can get that down, they're good to go for the castle map pack.
They did a little bit better with the Majestic ones, except for the Pulse Grenade.
Yeah, that was pretty awful.
Yeah, that was horrible.
I'm trying to think of a worse achievement that they could make. Like, what other weapon is so ineffective that it wouldn't be fun for an achievement? Like a plasma pistol? Even that would be easier.
Well, that would be... I mean, how would you create an achievement around the plasma pistol? What would... I mean, I could see you doing something like zapping 10 vehicles. Or, I guess you could do the achievement... Well, no, because you... Yeah, that would be hard.
I'm thinking. Man, I have no idea.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't think of it. The pulse grenade is like the least effective thing in Halo right now. It really is. It has its uses, but not very many.
But the only thing is you can use it for is whenever someone has their shields down. The most effective parts of the pulse grenade is when it does that initial burst out, and then when it collapses in. Other than that, you just have people that run right through it because it barely does anything to their shields.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to be around that thing whenever it blows up. I mean, unless you're just completely oblivious and don't know that you're standing in it. I mean, your shields are going down, though. You would obviously see and then move away. I mean,
I'm sure 90% of the people that play this game at least will boost for this achievement. I think they'll have to.
Yes, and they're all going to get banned. Bring out the ban hammer, 343. It's time to go to work.
The only way you could get that legitimately, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just very difficult, is for something on like King of the Hill, where you would have to, or Regicide, where you would have to find people that are already no shield and place a grenade that encompasses both of those people instantly.
Yeah.
Because if you place it where there's 2 people battling, they're going to get out of that. They're going to have plenty of time to get out of that pulse grenade. They're not going to die from it that easily.
I want to find the person who thought this was a good idea and ask them, like, why?
I mean, it's not even usable in campaign
Why'd you do it?
or Spartan Ops.
No, I mean, you would think that it would. I always thought that the Forerunner weapons would be effective against the Forerunners, the Prometheans. I thought that they would be designed around beating the Knights, making it easier to kill a Knight. Because right now the Knights are probably the hardest enemy to beat in Halo. The campaign. And, I mean, you throw the grenade down and then they just zap out of the way. I mean, they're like a normal player. Like, they ain't gonna stand in that.
Yeah, it's ridiculously stupid how useless the pulse grenade is. But
yeah. Keat in the chat, twitch.com or twitch.tv, said that he doesn't want any achievements in multiplayer.
Yeah, he's said that before. I don't agree with that necessarily.
I agree with it. I don't like the idea of people trying to go for achievements during a multiplayer match. I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much if there's multiplayer achievements, but I would rather them not be there.
But you can design achievements in such a way where they're attainable, but they're not attracting to boosting. Like for one of them is get to Spartan rank 5. I mean, over time you're gonna get that. You can't really boost for that, except I guess if you just play on in until you get it, and it's not really hard to get that. You get it after 12 games or so. But it's just simple achievements like that. As long as they're well designed and they're not prone to boosting, then they're fine.
But the problem is that most, partially decent and difficult achievements do tend to be boostable, I guess. I don't really know how to say that. You can boost, like if you make a difficult achievement, people are going to boost for it. People don't like doing difficult things. If they can get around doing something difficult, they will.
I mean, achievements you would think are there for a challenge. I mean, you would want them to be an achievement. You don't want them to be a ribbon, and that's kind of what they are if they're just easy to attain.
Well, I mean, the pulse grenade achievement is one hell of a challenge. I mean, if you want a challenge, there it is. I mean, if you're trying to get it legitimately.
Right, but it's not designed well with how the game flows.
No, but it's challenging.
Yeah. So, let's move on to the last one, Skyline. Had to think for a second, not saying Skyfall. So Skyline is the favorite map for me. I think it's the favorite map for you too, Brent, right?
Yeah, it
Out
is.
of all three. So the cityscape is beautiful. There's the tease for the Hornet in there. Which everyone's like yelling at 343 right now. It's like, why do you tease us?
Give us the Hornet. We want air vehicles. Other than the Banshee. Give it to us.
Yeah, we want a UNSC air vehicle now.
Give it to us now. Give us a Forerunner air vehicle. Yep. Let me ride on a Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
Like spawn my own Watcher out of my Spartan's back and like grab it, fly around on it. It'd be great.
As far as this map goes, it's very well laid out. I really like how you can dodge in and out of corners, and I've had plenty of runs where I've been shot at and I've ducked behind the corner and gone around another wall and ducked behind a crate, and I've gone on this like 30-second chase before, and at the very end I died, of course. But this map is one of those fun maps where it's just small enough for having a good core 4v4 gameplay. You can't really do something that's too much bigger than 4v4, although we did try it, and to some extent it was fun and enjoyable, but it's definitely not built for big team in mind.
No. I mean, you can do big team, but it's crazy.
Yeah. As far as the gameplay for the certain game types that we tried, and I definitely played some more of this map afterwards. After the Monday Night matchmaking we did, and we played some proper CTF, and that is intense.
Oh yeah, the CTF matches are. I don't know if they're intense, but they're definitely tense in the sense that the map is so small that you want to go on offense, but by the time you get halfway to other side of the map, the other team's already in your base trying to steal your flag. So you have to get a good balance of, people playing defense and offense.
Yeah.
Not really a good strategy to have everybody just go on one or the other.
And it's one of those maps where you have so many different paths where you can, I can think of 5, 7 different routes right now I can take the flag from one base to the other.
Yeah.
And
Being
then
able to see where the flag is obviously kind of mitigates that. I mean, you know which way they're taking it.
Yeah.
But having all those options definitely helps.
Yeah, I love this map. This map is one of my favorite maps.
Optional
Granted,
routes
when we did Slayer on it, like FFA Slayer, I wasn't my best night for when we played that. And then I think I did SWAT on another night after, I think like on Tuesday, and I just got ruined. But
I did okay in SWAT. There's little areas that you can kind of crouch into and get a good view across the map to the other side to get a double kill or a triple kill, depending on how tightly knit the other team decides they want to run around together.
Yeah. The thing about this map is once you figure out where kind of the main pathways that people take, you can dominate. You can cut people off. You can just go on rampages once you know how the map flows. I can see this map is as a likely candidate for competitive Halo. I think the competitive people are going to be all over this one because this one has that competitive edge and feel to it because of with how close it is, how quickly you can dive behind corners where if you miss a shot it's going to possibly cost you your win, and this is going to be one of those high intensity, high skilled maps.
Yes. If you are into super competitive kind of, I mean, it's fast. It's a very fast map compared to the other ones because of its size.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of very simplistic geometry, no boxes laying around, everything is kind of a set piece of the map. If you like that, you're going to love Skyline.
Yeah. And I've actually talked with some folks in here who may remember Siren from when we did our Halo Council podcast back then, and I was talking with him recently, and he may be on to do a show here in a little bit with his new group that he's with, but he's talked to some of the pros that he knows really well, and they absolutely love Skyline.
Yes. It's my favorite map for Sticky Detonator.
Yeah.
It is. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't like the Sticky Detonator before, but now it's just fun. One guy had a shotgun, and I ran up on him with Sticky Detonator, and
nice.
shot the sticky at him, and he shot it out of midair, blew himself up.
That's
I didn't
funny.
have to detonate it.
That is too funny. So
good times.
For the people watching the stream, there's actually one good shot where someone stuck the wall with the sticky detonator and got, I think, a double kill off of it.
Oh yeah, because it's such a small map, and everybody kind of stays together, you can get a lot of cool multi-kills with the sticky detonator.
This is a map where the sticky detonator is going to be one of those highly featured weapons because of just where with all those little corners and everything, it's going to be one of those versatile weapons where you have to know how to use it in order to dominate the map.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a power weapon on Skyline.
So it's nice to see kind of like that weapon get some kind of a more or less a home for a map. There's always maps that have a certain home to a weapon. Like there's certain maps that kind of tailor the shotgun, certain maps that really focus on like the BR and some of those like core primary weapons, and then rockets is obviously another one. And like for me, Spartan Laser would be, or sorry, not Spartan Laser, Railgun is kind of a highlighted weapon for me in Ragnarok.
Oh
just because the long lines of sight, and I love the Railgun. It's my favorite weapon in the game.
Yeah, I like to charge up on it. It's got a nice timing. I can never get a close range kill with it though. For some reason,
I go to work with that thing. Like I think I want to say 90% of the time I've hit 3 out of 4 shots with every railgun I've picked up.
Yeah, it's a cool weapon.
Yeah, I love that thing. Anyways, and if you were watching the stream, you know that there's a new catchphrase in town, and it's Dat Tarp. So there was a few moments where, let's see, it was David Ellis and Bravo on the stream when they were talking about Skyline, and they got, I forget what the tangent was that led to this discussion of the tarp, but they got to talking about looking up at the tarp is just, it grants you these godlike powers, and the guy that they were focusing on the stream looked up and then went on like went on to get a good series of kills. Yeah. And then, of course, the threads for like the tarp is OP and tarp needs to be buffed started just pouring into the Waypoint forums.
Nerf the tarp.
Nerf the tarp. Buff the tarp. The tarp is like divine or something like that.
It's a tarp.
It's a tarp! Yeah, so all those... so we have a new kind of giant meme in the Halo universe now with the tarp.
Very mimetic.
So, that's where the title of this podcast came from, if any of you guys were wondering. And now you know.
Welcome to Podtacular, the TARP podcast. Episode 350.
Yeah. Also, to kind of add to the celebration of the map pack coming out, we covered this a little bit on our last show when we were talking with Insane54 about his website, Halo Customs, and the announcement of our Wacky Wednesdays. But the file share on the website is now available, and it's fully operational in its current state. That's kind of what they plan. Although there was, I think, 5 of us that got in this kind of Twitter argument with Rukari. Some of you guys know him as one of the kind of social managers over there, kind of falls into the realm of BS Angel. And it was, I think, me, Duquesne, Pete the Duck, the Little Moa, I forget who else was on there, but we were kind of like arguing back and forth about not being able to download to the console from the website. So one of the features not in the web version of the file share is there's no button on the file share to send the file directly to your console. Now there is a add file which adds it to your file share, and then you can go into your file share in game and download it that way. But there in the Halo 3 file share and in the Halo Reach file share, there was a button there that says download to Xbox, and then once you booted up Halo 4, it started downloading to your Xbox. Well, that's kind of the big feature that's not there that everyone was looking forward to in the web version of the file share, and now it's not there.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. It just seems odd that such an important feature of the file browser isn't available in Halo 4. You know, it's always weird when you have a sequel that is less feature-filled than its predecessor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a big deal. I mean, you want to be able to take the files you find on Waypoint and put them on your console. It's a pretty basic thing. I mean, I've got to think that they're working on that.
Well, if they weren't working on it before, they're definitely working on it now, because they had enough voices from the higher-ups in the Halo community that kind of railed on this ability not being there. So I think they kind of caught wind. It's like, oh, this is something that people really, really want.
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, exactly. But another feature of the file share that a lot of people really look to file share for is now you can download your screenshots. So all those screenshots that you've been taking in game and haven't been able to do anything with, you can finally download them to your computer. So
it's
whenever
wallpaper time.
Exactly. And there's a big, there's actually a link on this week's bulletin to screenshots that have been tagged with TARP. And there's a lot of pretty ones on there. The one that's kind of at the top of the list right now is probably one of my favorites. It's kind of, just with how the lighting is, it's grayscaled, and it's the one with the Hornet. I don't know if you've probably seen it, Brent. I think you've looked through those files.
Yeah, I've seen
but
it.
It's that very first file that pops up when you click that link.
Yep.
So that's definitely one of the cooler screenshots of everything that's been coming up so far. And then you showed me the one of the actual cityscape being zoomed in and taking a look at that.
Very pixely.
Yeah, but it looks sweet.
Yeah, it does. It looks very cool. The skyboxes in general on Majestic Map Pack they're pretty great.
And if you're in the chat, I'm putting the link in the chat box right now. So another perk of being here live. So take a look at that screenshot if you have the chance. And there's plenty of other ones on there, but as far as the screenshots go, you can finally download them. Another little thing to it, though, is they're not as big as they were in Halo 3 and Halo Reach. If you downloaded those, you know the sizes were a little bit bigger than what the output definition size was. But for at least I do my Xbox on 720, and the screenshot that was saved from me was 1920 by 1080, which is usually 1080p. So I think that is the max. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's the max resolution that they're going to be outputting the screenshots.
Yep, that's the max headroom for your screenshot.
I mean, which is
resolution.
all right. I mean, the biggest screen that most people have is 1920 by 1080. There's only one other screen resolution that's bigger than that for most computers out there.
Yeah.
Only thing is you can't really do... I mean, you can do posters with it, but it'll definitely look a little more grainy or blurry.
I've got bad news. Doing a screenshot search for Pokemon brings up nothing. No files found. It's empty.
Oh, no.
So you could be the first.
You could be the first. Well, so it doesn't necessarily mean there's not a screenshot that's supposed to be of Pokemon. It just means there's one that hasn't been tagged Pokemon.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you make a screenshot, you should tag it the relevant tags. Like, put things that are relevant to your screenshot or just your files in general so that people can find it. Use the tags to your advantage.
Yeah, but before this web interface, the tags weren't quite that useful because, I mean, who goes onto the file share system on the game that often? Not many people.
People knew this was coming, though. I mean, they've been talking about the file browser for a while now.
Yeah, but if it's not there, people aren't going to actively use it. Now that it's here, I think we're going to see a lot more of these screenshots pop up. Because it was either last night or Tuesday night, Jessica tweeted out something that that she was disappointed in the fact that there are only 3 screenshots tagged with TARP. And since that tweet, there's been explosions of screenshots that have come up with the tag TARP.
When Jessica speaks, people listen.
Yes, very much so.
So yeah, can you retroactively go back in and add tags? That's a thing, right?
Yeah, you can add a tag to any screenshot or any file that's available.
So if you didn't tag your screenshots before, go in and do that.
Go tag them now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can add tags to other people's files. It's not something that is restricted to, you can only tag your own stuff. People can tag any file the way they want.
I didn't really like that on my files because people would always tag like completely inappropriate things onto my stuff.
That's great.
Yep.
Anywho, so let's dive into the bulletin. We've already kind of touched on a few things with the file share.
Yeah, we kind of touched on the most important stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you have everything that you can view. You can view the map variants that you have. You can view your game types, film clips, screenshots. And there's the recent screenshots is back, so your recent 25 are up on the file share as well. And we have a whole post about the file share. So I posted an article as soon as I saw Twitter explode and got that put up. So there's an article on our website that you can go to and find out all the nitty-gritty details on what you can or can't do with the file share and how to access your own.
Yes.
All right.
It's time to share files.
Indeed it is. And it's time to share the bulletin.
Yes, it is.
Yes, so let's do the bulletin. This actually came out, I think, for my time, it actually came out this morning. It wasn't out last night as of when I went to bed, I think. So it seems like with the explosion of content recently, Jessica's been lagging just a little bit, but that's kind of why we do these podcasts on Thursday instead, so we know the bulletin's out.
Yep.
So first things first, they kind of talk about the stream that they did and the release of the map pack, which we talked about already, so we're going to just kind of skip over that real quick. The matchmaking playlist update is next in the list, and for that, we're going to have a extraction playlist all to itself. So it's going to be a 5-on-5 extraction playlist. And for those of you that don't know what extraction is, because it hasn't been up there for too long, I think, but it's very similar to territories, I think, where you have to hold down an area for a certain amount of time, and then once you hold that area down for that time frame, you basically capture that area. And each map, there's usually rotation of about 5 different areas, and you go around with this funky little kind of Forerunner extraction tool thing, and you can battle for different areas. There's usually 2 up at one time, and it's this kind of just big back and forth thing of controlling which territory, and it's very strategic in terms of, okay, do I defend this one or do I try to go attack the other one? And it's really an interesting game type. And I actually think we tried it on Landfall during our Monday Night Matchmaking, if I recall correctly.
You are correct.
And it's, for that map, it's interesting. You definitely have to kind of pay attention to where the extraction zones are popping in and out.
Yeah, it's because of the size of the map, it's definitely tough to try and get both of them. Because once you leave the one that you've already captured, generally people are running towards it, trying to take it back to their side. So you got to get, a lot of team coordination going on, trying to have a good mix of defenders and offensive team members.
Mm-hmm. So that extraction playlist, they have the list of kind of what the mode's going to entail. So it's 5-on-5, like I said before. The score to win is going to be 5 extractions. Your custom loadouts will be available. There's no instant respawn. There's death cam is enabled. Motion tracker enabled. No personal ordnance. Active sites, of course, are map dependent. The site location is sequential, so that means it's going to go alpha through echo and then rotate back through. Site movement, of course, is on extraction. That's kind of default. Arming time is 3 seconds. Extraction time, 45 seconds. Conversion time, 3 seconds. And timer pause is enable. And what the timer pause means is that if someone's extracting the zone, the timer's going to pause.
Yes. It's kind of like Assault in a way. A little bit. It has Assault-esque
yeah, it kind of does.
Elements to it.
Yeah.
Like multi-bomb in a way. I hated multi-bomb. I always liked neutral bomb better.
Yeah, well, I always found the one side of Assault the kind of iconic bomb or Assault game type.
Yeah, that's the main one that people think about when they think of Assault. That's the quintessential one.
Right.
It's kind of like multi-flag CTF exists, but everybody plays either one flag. I mean, that's another good question. Like, do people think of one flag CTF as the quintessential CTF, or do they think of
I think multi-flag. I personally think multi-flag is the quintessential capture the flag mode for Halo.
Yeah, yeah. There were maps on Halo 2 that definitely favored one flag, like Zanzibar.
Yeah, there are maps that are specifically designed for asymmetric gameplay, and that would be kind of an exception. But in terms of just how Halo has evolved, capture the flag kind of started on Blood Gulch, right?
Yep.
So that was always the classic. Both you had 2 flags going at the same time. So
yeah,
that's kind of the iconic capture the flag mode for me in Halo, is that 2 flag mode.
Yeah, 2 flag is. I mean, there's definitely evidence that's the main CTF mode. I get what you're saying, because Blood Gulch is kind of the quintessential Halo map. That's the one.
It's the iconic Halo map of the ages.
Like, even people that don't play Halo know what Blood Gulch is, if only from Red versus Blue.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, just look at that machinima. Yeah. They're also doing some updates to the Capture the Flag playlist, where they're going to be adding Simplex and Settler, which are 2 of the Forge maps that have been made. Looking through this, it doesn't look like they're removing any playlists again, so I guess they have more slots to be putting playlists in. They're evaluating the join in progress window across all playlists, so people keep on kind of bickering about joining a game in progress. And personally, I haven't found too many instances where I've joined a game where it's that late into the game. It's always something that it's like maybe 2 minutes in and the score is 50-20 or 50-30, something like that. So I personally don't have a problem with it. I mean, what's your experience been with that?
I don't know. It's just I was busy looking at the Pokemon thing. Game Dude 03 was in the chat and said just search for Pokemon on the file browser. I forgot to set my filters to all maps and all the time, so I finally found it.
Would you have it on?
I was busy thinking about that. I had it on Skyline because I had clicked on the link from the bulletin. So what were you asking? I'm sorry, I was just completely out of it. I was like, oh man, there are Pokemon files.
Link that in the chat.
All right.
I was asking kind of what your opinion was on the whole join in progress thing, because they have something in here where they're continuing to evaluate the kind of time window where you can join in progress. But I was saying, for me, I haven't really run into an issue where that join in progress has felt kind of unbalanced or anything. And there's kind of a trade-off there too, because on the one hand, if everyone kind of quits out of your game, it's a hard experience to just kind of go on as one person up against four if you're doing something like Team Regicide or King of the Hill. And it'd be nice to have other people come in. So, in the one hand, you would kind of like to see other people come in later into the game to just kind of even out the experience. But on the flip side of that, the people that come in don't want to join into a game that's kind of halfway done and the potential of losing. So it's a very complex problem to solve. And I think if people kind of stepped back and really looked at the big picture, it'd sit a lot better with people. But I think with how short attention spans people have, it's just something that's not... It's never going to satisfy everybody.
Well, I mean, you said it when you said that it's great if, you're on a team that lost players because they quit out, and then you finally get them back in to know you're actually back in the game. You're on equal footing, basically. But I mean, if you come into a game, it sucks, generally. Like, I think I've come into FFA games like partway through the match. Like, what was up with that? Because I'm not like really helping a team. I'm just coming in late to a match that I'm not going to win. When the leader has 15 kills and I'm coming in with 0, I mean, I'm not going to win that FFA match. It's complex, like you said. It's not easy to solve. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I lose so many matches that I don't even care about my win-lose ratio anymore. So it's whatever. It's nice on objective game types. I don't really like it in Slayer. Playing team doubles, one guy actually beat me and another guy I was playing with by himself on one of the custom maps. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, when it's team doubles like that, one person definitely has an advantage over two.
Yeah, because you have two targets.
And it also depends heavily on the map. So if it's something like Haven, where you definitely have a lot of different escape routes and a lot of shooting angles, that one person can really dominate.
Yeah, I was embarrassed.
If the two people know how to keep spread out and know how to cover each other, then the two people have a distinct advantage over the one player. So it's a careful balance between what map you're playing on and what players you're playing against.
Yeah, this guy was pretty good. But it was still embarrassing, because effectively you have two guns on his one, and I was like, oh man. And we were actually winning by like 5 kills most of the match. And then he just came back and wrecked it with a sniper rifle, so.
Oh, and yeah, there's that kind of thing. And were you playing Infinity Doubles or Doubles Pro? Or I forget what specifically
Infinity Doubles.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, is if you can call those ordnance things in, it breaks kind of the natural flow of the map, which kind of sucks.
Well, I mean, it breaks every game type, in my opinion. I don't like personal ordnance.
I argue against Big Team.
Yeah, Big Team's a little different.
Big Team, it works. I think that's really the only one it works on, is Big Team. And maybe Dominion, I would hesitate to say that just because it's 6v6, and while there is quite a few players on there, the fact that if you can drop a power weapon and just go to town on one of the bases and convert it and hold it, then it kind of breaks that. But there's enough players on a Dominion game where it's 6 on each side where that could balance out.
Yep.
But I would say it definitely works well for big team, but hesitant on Dominion. And the reason for that is it turns it into a kind of a game of Fiesta. It's a kind of a not as violent version of Fiesta Slayer or Fiesta whatever the game type you're playing is.
Yeah. I can't figure out why I don't mind personal ordnance on BTB really, because really the only difference is map size, and that might be it too. You know, bigger maps lend themselves better to power weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it's the combination of the map size and just how many players there are, and the fact that the 1 or 2 power weapons is overwhelmed by just sheer numbers, where that 1 or 2 power weapons, when you have fewer numbers, is kind of exponentially powerful.
Yep.
So, next thing on the bulletin is the Spartan Ops update. So last week we had the final episode come out, episode 10, which was Exodus, and they have their whole write-ups here for episode 9, 10, and they're calling the conclusion episode 11, even though it's not a playable episode, but I guess from a cinematic standpoint, it's an additional episode.
Yes. It's my favorite episode. The one I didn't have 10? To play. No, I'm just kidding. Episode 11.
Oh, episode 11, okay. Yeah.
Episode 10 was my probably my favorite episode to play out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as the things you can play, I enjoyed episode 11 as a cutscene. That was cool.
Well, yeah. Well, it kind of wraps up that first season and it leaves that cliffhanger there.
Yes. Are we allowed to talk about the cliffhanger? Has it been long enough?
I want to say yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't played it at this point...
episode 10 was last week. They've already moved on, and it's in the bulletin, so I think it's safe to talk about it.
So Halsey ends up stuck with Joel floating around somewhere in space, and she doesn't have an arm anymore. Had to amputate it to save her life because she's going to bleed out. So now she's a one-arm bandit running around space looking for revenge.
Yeah. Well, so there's something in the bulletin that they wrote, and I completely agree with this. And this comes from the episode 10 and 11 conclusion, and there's a sentence here that says, Jewel asked her, or Halsey, what she wanted, and she said revenge, and everyone knew she meant on Palmer and the crew in the Infinity, but we didn't want that. Halsey is a woman who is always saying 2 things at once.
Yeah.
So... I've been talking with a few people, and just kind of off the back, it's Halsey is a very complex character, and if you haven't read the books, you honestly haven't scratched the surface on who Halsey is, what kind of a person she is, and at her core, she does have humanity's interest as a whole in best mind, but when it comes to certain people, if you cross her, then is not favorable in her opinion to you. So I think on the one hand, yeah, she would like revenge, but I've been talking with some other people, and we think it's more of a play to kind of feed into the same thing Jewel wants, is to kind of attack that group of Spartans and kind of exterminate them from existence because of what they had to do to force him to blow up Requiem, and now that they have the other half of the key, there's that whole kind of tension there. But it's also kind of playing into Halsey's favor, where if she can kind of get back to that side, she already kind of has a trust with Thorn going on. So that rapport has kind of already been established, and Thorn is kind of like the new John in this situation. It's kind of the I mean, he's obviously can't replace John. I mean, that's the Spartan of the Halo franchise. But as far as being able to kind of fulfill what her desires are and better the UNSC and kind of push humanity along, I think her wanting revenge is just something to fuel Jewel and something to get her back into the playing game.
I mean, yeah, she wants to manipulate Joel, obviously. When you're captured by an enemy that could easily kill you, it's definitely in her favor to at least pretend like she wants to take out Oni or, parts of the UNSC.
Also, I think part of her genuinely wants to take out certain parts of Oni because they basically just turned their backs on her because Oni was the original people who ordered Halsey to go ahead with the Spartan program. And if you remember the distinct cutscene from the beginning of the game, Oni's basically turned a 180 on her and it's like, why'd you do this?
Yeah, but to me, kind of the essential thing is when she said I don't remember which episode it was, but at the beginning kind of the Spartan Ops story, she said that she desperately wanted to know everything. That's kind of her motivation for continuing her work is that she wants to learn more about the universe. And what's the easiest method for her to learn a whole bunch of stuff that she probably doesn't know yet? Finish the Janus key so that she can find all this Forerunner tech.
Yep.
Right now her biggest goal is probably finishing the Janus key, completing it, bringing the two sides together. And, she can't obviously finish the Janus key unless she gets back to the UNSC. So she's got to do that somehow. And what's the easiest way to get back to that side? Get Joel to take you to them, basically, saying you want revenge, and then, turn on him. So
right.
I think that's what's going to happen. Another issue is the legendary ending of, I don't know if it's the legendary ending, just the ending of Halo Reach. Halsey ends up giving the eulogy for Noble 6, or Noble Team.
Right.
And so we know that she's alive in the future, and she's part of humanity. She's on humanity's side still because she's giving the eulogy for humanity, for Reach. So,
well, there's still that whole debate on like how canonical is Reach.
Well, I've got to assume that game is at least a little bit canonical.
Yeah, I would like to hope so. I'm still reading through the Karen Travis, the Kilo 5 trilogy. I'm almost done with Glasslands. I think I have about 80 or so pages left in that book, and for those that have read it, I think I'm at the part where they're just about to, like, Halsey just got the response back from Perrin Goski, and trying to get her out. So, there's that whole time when they were inside Onyx where she was showing the engineers on some of the blueprints and messing around with how they integrate Forerunner tech into human tech. And I'm guessing that's kind of where they get the idea of Infinity is building that ship, kind of prototyping it in Onyx and then kind of pulling it out into real space. But there's a lot about Halsey that we still don't know.
Also,
I think she has best interests in mind. I don't think it's something that she's turning her world against humanity or any one person in the UNSC. It's more just kind of fighting the system, not fighting any one individual.
Yeah, but potentially Joel has the ability to cause a great deal of destruction to Oni or the UNSC.
Oh, yeah.
And Halsey has to know that. And I just don't believe.
And so there's another whole little kind of plot twist in there, which is in the books, but Oni is kind of fueling this whole war between humanity and Covenant anyways.
Yeah.
So Oni is being the puppeteers on both sides of the equation, and Oni's just bad news for everybody.
So, do you think by the end of Halo 6, Oni won't exist? Or at least not like it is right now? Like, I totally expect Osmond to get killed at some point. Like, Halsey is going to get a prosthetic arm and, like, shove it through Osmond's heart.
I would think Oni might be kind of disassembled, but certain parts of Oni will be lurking in the shadows. I don't think in this universe Oni would ever go away.
Yeah, it's tough.
It might take a backseat for a while, but it would it would never just completely die out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shadow organization. It's nobody knows who's in charge, really.
Right.
There's no telling who's in the background, who's really, pulling all the strings. So
Well, I mean, right now it's
maybe it's Halsey. Maybe that's the
Osman.
secret. Maybe Halsey is secretly like the top Oni agent.
No,
Everybody reports.
although that would be interesting. It's Osman is pretty much for this game. Osman is the head of Oni right now.
Yeah.
So, moving on with the bulletin, they have some screenshots that they've made into wallpapers and that are really, really cool. One of my favorites in here is the D-Res one, the purple one.
Yeah.
Or the pink one. That one is cool.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites. And then there's Dat Tarp, of course. We talked about that screenshot a little bit. And there's some other ones on here that are just really, really cool. It just goes to show how beautiful Halo 4 is. And the fact that they were able to do this on the Xbox 360, even with how dated the hardware is just really cool.
It makes me excited to see what they're going to do with Halo 5 on Xbox 720. Durango.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah. I like this wildlife picture by Gothic Lucy that they show. It's kind of a...
Yeah, I wonder where that is exactly.
It's cool. I like that you don't really see that color scheme, that kind of real light blue in Halo very much.
No, you don't. It doesn't say on the file what map it was taken in. Because that could be on quite a few different maps. Yeah, I don't know. But that one looks pretty. Actually,
Harvest, maybe?
I'm thinking Harvest or maybe Solace.
Mm-hmm.
Could be one of them. But just in general, these maps look amazing. And that's the bulletin. That wraps up the bulletin for this week. It's kind of short. We got a big pile of news from last week with the Majestic Map Pack coming out this week. And they're just kind of wrapping that up here, wrapping up the Spartan Ops and the small matchmaking updates that we have. So not too much on the bulletin, but there's your dose for the week.
Yep. Short and sweet, but not really much news other than the Extraction game type.
Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing, you get further away from a game release and, right after a DLC map release, not a lot of news, kind of a slow period of time. Eventually we'll get more information on the castle maps.
Right.
That'll be exciting, but right now it's kind of in a lull.
Well, hopefully everyone's playing the maps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's fun.
Yeah.
But we've already said everything. Well, not everything, but we've said most of what we want to say about the new maps.
Right.
I hope.
I think we have. And when we play more matchmaking, we may have a few more things to add in there as well.
Yep.
But let's move on to some submissions, shall we?
Yes.
We have a few of you guys. Our question from last week was, what is your favorite DLC map? Now, some people actually wrote in with a specific map, and I think one or two actually wrote in with a map pack. So we were looking for just a specific map, but I guess in terms of a map pack, since we got those answers, we'll read them out anyways. So the first one here comes from The Reclaimer. He writes, "Hey guys, in regards to the question of the week, I think the answer for me personally is an easy one. I think the Mythic map pack from Halo 3 was all around the best map pack. Not only was it an all-around great bang for your buck deal, it had some of the most iconic maps in my opinion. Featuring Assembly, personally all-around favorite for pretty much any game type, Citadel, Heretic, Longshore, Orbital, and of course the Great Sandbox. Anyways, that's my personal favorite map of the Halo map pack to date, and I would like to say keep up the good work." I hate Assembly. I really did not like Assembly.
No.
For me, it was a map I was good in SWAT with, but other than that, I did not like that map.
No. Citadel was okay.
I still think I have some Halo 3 achievements to get on the Mythic map pack too, which sucks. Yeah. I gotta find people to go in and help me get those.
It's time to boost.
Yeah.
I don't think Bungie's going to bring out the Halo 3 banhammer again.
No, I think it's far enough in the past where they're not going to matter. I still have some of the FFA ones to get, like 2-for-1 laser, 5 sticks in a single game, and it's like, ugh. I'm gonna have to find people that are similar to my skill level to go in and find those with. But Mythic overall, I thought it was an okay map pack. I really liked the the legendary one, the one with the dishes standoff.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
Or
out of the Halo 3 map
what's that
packs.
heroic? Was it
That
the same one with
heroic.
Foundry? Okay, so yeah, it was the
heroic
same
map,
one with
yeah.
Foundry. So Foundry, standoff, and what was the third map on that pack?
Oh, I can't remember.
I feel horrible for not knowing this.
I think I
quick
remember
Google
what
search.
it looks like,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the name.
You know, it's also a good thing about doing this live now is that we can ask our audience to look these things up for us.
Yeah, audience, keep on Halo Wiki and find these things for us.
Actually, I have it here. So it's Standoff, Rat's Nest, and Foundry.
Oh yeah, Rat's Nest.
Rat's Nest. I thought.
How'd I forget
Rat's
that
Nest,
one?
I thought it was in the later map pack, actually.
I thought when I think of Rat's Nest, I thought it was a default map.
No,
But
I knew it
that
wasn't
now
default.
that I remember it, it was a decent DLC map.
I thought it was something in like the legendary map pack.
No, I remember it was one of the first ones. Now that I remember it was a DLC map. So
Okay.
didn't really enjoy Rat's Nest that much, other than running around with a mongoose. That was fun. I had one time I won a CETF match on Rat's Nest within 3 seconds of the timer counting down.
Nice.
I think we were down to 1 second left, and when we grabbed the flag, there was 25 seconds left, and I was on a mongoose, and the dude jumped on the back, and it was crazy, man. We were hauling, trying to get to our base.
Yeah.
We finally made it and scored and won. That was one of my favorite Halo 3 moments.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Okay, hit the next one, if you
All
don't
right.
mind.
Cart says, for this week's question, I would have to say my favorite map from a map pack is from the original 9 DLC maps in Halo 2. The only map that I didn't like was Elongation. I actually liked Backwash for some custom games. But my favorites from the DLC would be Turf, Gemini, Terminal, and Sanctuary.
Wow, Sanctuary. Yeah. I thought that was a default map. I didn't realize that was DLC.
Which one was Sanctuary? I'm trying to remember.
It's the MLG one. The 2 bridges to the middle rings with the 2 bases on either side, and the sniper towers with the bridge that goes to them. Really? You can't think of Sanctuary?
No. And I don't know why. I remember the name. It's going to make me feel really bad when I actually...
So the big center circle where it had the 2 kind of circular ramps up to the side, the sword usually spawned in the middle. And then there was Carbine that was on the bridges that went to the center coming from the 90-degree angles.
This makes me feel like a bad Halo host. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, duh. Yes, I remember. It was created in Reach, right?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved Sanctuary too. I don't know why I forgot about it. I remember running around the top of the kind of ring around the middle. There was a way to kind of crouch jump your way to the top where you could run around the edge. That was fun if you had a sniper rifle.
So yeah, that was I didn't realize that was a DLC map. But yeah. Terminal. Oh my gosh, I love that map.
That's a favorite. Everybody loves Terminal.
Yeah. The train. Oh my gosh. So many good memories on that map. And they actually did a remake in Halo Reach, and instead of the train, they did the kill ball. And it actually, aside from lagging because of how many different textures were there, it was actually a pretty fun map to play on.
Yeah, I played it. It was all right, but I think they need to do a real remake, a legitimate remake of Terminal. And Halo 2 anniversary might be coming around soon. That'd be a good time.
Maybe. I wasn't a big fan of Gemini though.
Nah.
I never quite figured it out either. if I thought about it, I can figure out where everything flows and where the teleporters go, but that map wasn't that intuitive to me.
It was just
personally.
I don't know, that kind of large middle area. Like it just didn't feel well designed. I don't know. Maybe they were working too much on the other maps. Like they put out so many good maps that they had to make that one like crappy.
Yeah.
Backwash. That was a.
Oh gosh.
Lagtastic.
Well, zombies was a big one on that one, right?
Yeah, for people that don't know about what happened back in the Halo 2 days, Backwash was a flood style map. That kind of
very eerie, that greenish yellow glow.
Like spores floating up in the air and like fog. And the problem was that the fog caused online matches to lag like nuts. Like it was crazy how much it lagged. They got around to fixing that a little bit, but it never recovered. It wasn't to me. I didn't really enjoy Backwash that much anyway. Like just as a map. Sword in the middle, so that was fun if you actually grabbed it. That was back when the sword was novel. Back in Halo 2, people thought the sword was awesome. It's like the overpowered weapon in that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, the lunge range on the sword is still outrageous.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It still kind of boggles my mind a little bit that you can be in the middle of your jump and floating in air, and you can just swish at somebody, and then you just like instantly jump towards them. That physically doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If you're on the ground, maybe, you could step forward and everything. But if you're like in the air and you're slashing at somebody, in reality, powers. That shouldn't happen. So, yeah. Next one comes from Jason. He writes in, "Hey, Podtacular, I'm answering your question of the week about our favorite DLC maps. Mine would have to be Avalanche from the Halo 3 Legendary Map Pack. I am aware that Avalanche is a remake of the popular Halo CE map Sidewinder. But because Xbox Live wasn't around at the time, I never got to play much CE multiplayer and never got to experience this map. Avalanche is definitely a dream map for anyone that loves Big Team. It was one of those rare maps that had the Hornet on it, and when you add in Banshees, Choppers, Tanks, and Wraiths, absolute chaos ensued. But there were enough Spartan lasers, rockets, and turrets placed around the map that I never felt it was overly unfair on the foot players. Not only is the map fun to play, it's also gorgeous to look at with the snow cliffs and Forerunner installations. Everything about this map brings back great memories of fun times in Halo 3. Matchmaking is my favorite DLC map. Thanks, Podtacular, and keep up the good work." So there you go, Avalanche.
Yeah, I enjoyed favorite. Avalanche.
It was a nice homage to Sidewinder. It was designed in such a way where it didn't quite feel like it, but it's still it's still a nice homage to it. It didn't really feel like it flowed the same way as Sidewinder either. It was very distinctly different in how Sidewinder flowed, because you had a lot more vehicle play in Sidewinder and going around the outside than you did have people going through the middle.
Yeah, on Avalanche, the middle was crazy. Lots of intense battles in the middle. I mean,
personally, I hesitate to call Avalanche a remake because with how the map flows so differently, it doesn't flow like it's just not a remake. It's like a spiritual successor to Sidewinder.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Avalanche.
Yep.
And Sidewinder. If you like snow and you like horseshoes.
Horseshoes? I guess, yeah. Take the next one.
Right. Next one, Reactive says, "I loved Halo 2's Sanctuary. It may be because I've traditionally been a competitive player and enjoyed its inclusion into the MLG circuit, but I also like the flexibility of the map and how smoothly the gameplay flowed. The scenery was also a nice touch, adding a sharp contrast to the bloody mayhem of multiplayer with its serenity. Sanctuary was easily my favorite DLC map of all time, but Halo 2's Terminal and Relic were close runner-ups." Relic is one of my favorites. I love Relic.
I'm kind of indifferent to Relic. I think that's mainly due to the fact that I wasn't around when Halo 2 was like big and popular.
Relic is not good for Slayer matches, but it is great for one flag CTF. I'll say that much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because you'd have people trying to run up there, and once you grab the flag, it's just a matter of trying to get it off the edge.
Yep, you've got to throw the map off the edge. People don't understand that.
You mean the flag, not the map.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. You don't throw it off the map so it'll reset. No, yeah, you had to get it off of its little ledge.
Yeah, because if you were able to do that, then you had a pretty good chance of getting it home.
Like, people, they didn't understand that, though. They would try to run with it, and then they would, like... The point is that you have to jump and then throw it so that you can get it off of there as fast as you can. But people would try to run with it, and they would die, like, right before they jumped off the ledge. And so it would be stuck up there, and you'd have to get all the way back up to the ledge. And that was pretty tough. I mean, actually getting to the end of that ledge was, hard considering... Like, if the defense actually knew what they were doing, they would stop you. One of my favorite tactics was to rush with the Warthog. I could get a Warthog up the ledge, like, extremely fast on it. and people wouldn't see it coming. And so I'd get the Warthog up there, and it might flip around a couple times, but I could usually get the flag down off that ledge pretty quick. That strategy was also important on burial mounds. If you remember, you needed to throw the flag off of that window.
Yeah, throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, burial mounds was a good map.
Yeah. People don't remember that one from Halo 2 very much, but I loved barrel mounds. Good stuff.
That's a cool. And then there's the big the big Spartan glitch.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
On that map. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Next submission comes in from Daft Link. Hey Daft Link. My favorite DLC is the Halo 3 Heroic Map Pack. It came out right when I got into Halo 3, so I have some fond memories with it. Foundry spawned many great customs such as Saw, Toilet, Ice Cream Man, Chops and Corks, etc. Standoff was my favorite all-time map for a while. The symmetry and 2 bases provide great team battles, and there was a cool scenery like giant satellite dishes in the distance. Jenga was also fun. Rat's Nest was another good team-based map. Good times. So, yeah, I think the Halo 3 maps everyone is kind of jiving with right now.
Yeah.
And Foundry, of course, led to Griffball. So that's... And Foundry was basically just a giant playground before they brought in Sandbox, and then there was Forge World. So Foundry was pretty much the spawning force behind Forge. That's where Forge really became powerful.
Yeah, when you could actually have a wide open kind of rectangular area to work with. You didn't have to get around scenery and rocks and things.
Yeah.
So the first Forge world, if you will. Right there at Foundry. So, and we still play Griffball today.
I know, right? It's a crazy, crazy world. You want to take the last one?
Still play zombies. Yeah. Game Dude 03 says, the question of most favorite. While I never can decide on what my favorite map is, I'm going with Sandbox. I go on to Halo 3 from time to time, and I still love every moment. It was the best Forge map in Halo 3 next to Foundry at the time. So Sandbox was a lot bigger than Foundry.
Oh, yeah. And you had the 3 tiers that you could work on. You could work up in the sky, you could work up on land, and then you could work down in that pit.
And you could use them all in conjunction, too, with the teleporters.
It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. It was nuts. Battleship was a popular Sandbox variant. If you remember that, shooting across from each other.
Yeah. So much fun.
Sandbox was fun.
So yeah, I think everyone in here is liking the Halo 3 DLC.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of when they started to really understand the nature of DLC. I mean, Halo 2, it was online. It was obviously on Xbox Live, and that was the first. I mean, that was at the very beginning of being able to download DLC on consoles. So that was it was novel at the time, but I don't think that they were really used to making new maps for a game that they'd already released, because they obviously didn't have to do that with the first Halo.
Right.
So with Halo 2, they kind of had to to get into the groove of making extra maps after you'd already put out a set of maps on the disc.
Well, and they did a pretty good job.
Oh yeah, some of those DLC maps for Halo 2 are fantastic. But by the time they got to Halo 3, they were used to the process. Map design was a more streamlined process, I assume, during Halo 3.
Yeah. So what about you? What's your favorite map? DLC map?
Man. It's probably a Halo 2 map, but I'm not sure I could pick one. It's like picking your favorite child.
I know, right?
If I had to pick one...
Cause, I've thought about it. I've sat here for like 30 minutes while I've been reading through these, and I'm still kind of battling with my own decision of what my favorite DLC map is.
I love them for different reasons. Like, there were different game types that worked so well on each of the different maps, you know? If I had to pick one... Terminal was a DLC map, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Terminal.
Terminal?
Yeah.
All right. I think for me, was Containment a DLC? Or was that built in?
No, it was DLC.
Yeah, I want to say Containment.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. If I wasn't going to choose Terminal, it would be Containment.
Yeah.
Because that was a great map.
Yeah, that was and the door switches and that was such a fun map.
That was the glory days of big team battle.
Yeah. Dang.
Now we have one more.
That brings back memories.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to. Assault was a favorite on Containment.
And Capture, I had a lot of fun with Capture the Flag too. But
I remember
Assault was
kind of the inside of the base that had those sloped surfaces, and you could like crouch up inside there, and people wouldn't expect you, so they'd run in to arm the bomb or take the flag, and you could just shotgun them right in the face. It was great. Great times on that map. There were so many different strategies and things you could do.
And then you had the cave that came around the very back part of your base, and then the one that went up to that second level.
Yeah, so really 3 ways to get into a base. Or, no, 2. Other than the Banshee. You could obviously just take the Banshee and fly into their base.
Right.
But eventually they got around to taking the Banshee out of matchmaking.
Oh, so, really?
I think so.
So the other iconic vehicle on that map was it, the Spectre?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was useless. I hated the Spectre. It was like a crappy warthog. A warthog that wasn't useful.
I just remember it from that TSL video that they did.
Yeah.
The Spartan Life? Yeah. So that's kind of what I recall it to be. So that wraps up that question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Keat wanted us to talk about Cold Storage, which was the free DLC map that Bungie released alongside Halo 3.
Yeah. It was alright. It's not one that particularly stood out to me.
Keat says it's the best DLC map. That's his choice for best. Yeah, I can understand why you'd like it. It's just not my favorite. It was okay. Trying to think of what it reminds me of.
You mean like what map it was made after?
Yeah, like what map it would remind me of if I was to pick a map.
Well, it's actually a proper remake of a Halo CE map.
Oh.
Chill Out.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I didn't play any of the CE maps, really.
Yeah, Chill Out was this, like, it was kind of a foggy level with purple and blue shades of color everywhere. I'll put it in the chat box.
Keat wants me to clarify, it's his favorite DLC map, not his favorite map.
Best free map. Best free map. Yeah, so...
Oh, okay, yeah, so it's the best free... I mean...
But that was like...
How many other free maps were there?
Exactly. Like, I don't think there was one.
Maybe that's the point.
I guess. I mean, the heroic map pack is now free for Halo 3, but that's the only other free DLC. Well, so the Halo 2 ones eventually became free.
Yeah.
But I guess out of the box, yeah, it's the only free one that we have so far. So like, huh?
Keat says that's the point. Well, we got the joke. We figured it out.
Okay. Sure.
We've done it.
All right.
It didn't. I mean, it flew over my head, but I ran and got it.
Achievement unlocked, I guess.
Yep. I love that sound, man. You ever like done something in a game and you thought that you like got an achievement, but it turns out someone was just sending you a message?
Yeah, I hate that. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no. It's like I just did this amazing feat. It's like, oh, achievement. Oh no, someone just signed
Oh.
online. Crap.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So what do we want the question for this week to be?
Oh man, that's a tough one. We need to come up with the stuff before we record.
I know, right?
'Cause you're getting put on the spot. You can't really think of great questions, or maybe you can.
Usually I like to try to derive it off of what we talk about during the show.
Yeah, but we just talked about the.
I hesitate to like do something like what has the tarp done for you, just because of that meme that's out there now for Halo.
After playing the Majestic maps, which is your favorite one? Is that a fair one? Or is that too like vague? I mean, are we done with the Majestic maps? Because I feel like
it's simple enough, I guess.
we're not going to get much news to talk about next week. I think it's going to be more of the kind of non-news bulletin. So I'm trying to think of a good one. That's not the question. That was the Majestic thing wasn't the question.
That's a simple enough one for people to answer, because I have a feeling if we do something like what has the tarp done for you, it's going to be that would
That'd be funny.
It could open up to some really weird answers. So yeah, so this is going to be our question of the week. What has Dat Tarp done for you? So you can come up with something silly. You can come up with something that's in, like, maybe something that's done in matchmaking.
Maybe you bounced a grenade off the tarp.
Someone in the chat just wrote, Exiled Ramen wrote in, the tarp ran over my ex-girlfriend.
Thanks, tarp.
So, thanks, tarp. Just something can be silly, can be serious. So that's going to be our question of the week. What has Dat Tarp done for you since it's come out in the Majestic DLC? And that wraps up our show. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for everyone who tuned in live to our show. We had consistently about 6 to 8 listeners. I think at one point we peaked at 9 or 10 concurrent listeners. And right now I'm looking, we have 6. So it's a good turnout for the first podcast, I think. Hopefully the numbers will grow steadily over time as more live shows come out. So if you guys are not listening to this live, you can check us out live every Thursdays at 8 p.m. That's when we do our kind of scheduled podcast when we talk about the update. Now, we do have other shows that we do kind of in between our bulletin updates. So over this past week, you saw us do one on the Majestic map packs, and you saw us do one with the guys over at Halo Customs. So those are kind of done on a per case basis, but if you go to Twitch, you can click the follow button and then you will receive an email notification whenever we go live. And we usually go live about 10 minutes before we actually start recording, so that'll give you guys some time to actually get into the stream and join in on what we're doing. But we shouldn't be doing too many intermediate podcasts for the time being. We probably will do an intermediate podcast with our kind of bulk series things where we do a campaign, a Spartan Ops, and a multiplayer one. So we may have some of those coming out, but other than that, you will be able to find us here every Thursday at 8 p.m. where we do our regular update show. So make sure you come check it out.
Yes.
As far as... Wow, we actually have someone on the Ustream channel. I haven't checked that all night, and there's actually someone else over there. But that's interesting. So yeah, we're actually streaming on Twitch and Ustream at the same time, and there's actually one person that's over there. So hey, to the person on Ustream, welcome to our channel. Post something in the chat if you will. But our primary streaming venue is going to be Twitch, I think, for the time being, but we will stream on both Ustream and Twitch just because we have the capability to do that, and we know some people have accounts on Twitch, some people have accounts on Ustream, so we're kind of trying to accommodate as many people as possible. With that said, that wraps up our show. Thanks again very much for listening. Remember, you can check out our website, podtacular.com. And while you're there, make sure you send us a submission using our big green button that's on the front page, or you can send us a submission directly to submissions@podtacular.com. And like you heard on the show, we will read out any responses to our question of the week. But it's not just restricted to that. You can also send in anything related to Halo news or questions that you have about what we've talked on the show, any funny moments, anything that's just kind of funny or odd or whatever that's Halo related. Feel free to send it in to us. We'll read it on the show. We also have our voicemail, 240-200-HALO. That's 240-200-4256. And you guys said that you wanted it back, and no one's called in and left a message. So
everybody wants it, but nobody wants to use it.
I know. So kind of like even out with us here, guys. I think it's working just fine. I mean, I checked it a couple weeks ago. If I need to check it again, I will. But definitely utilize the voicemail. There's plenty of people. There was enough people that wanted it back that we brought it back. So please use that, and we will play the actual audio bit on the show. So please utilize that because we did put it up specifically to your guys' request. You can check us out on our social media sites. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and now Twitch and Ustream. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Zoom Marketplace, and whatever other feed aggregator you use via our RSS feeds that are available on our homepage. Make sure you check out our weekly events. Starting next week, we are introducing Wacky Wednesdays, which is going to be our custom nights, which is going to start at start on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. That's 1:30 a.m. UTC. And we will be live streaming that as well to our recurring Monday Night Matchmakings, which happens on Mondays at the same time. So we will be doing those both on a weekly basis. So make sure you come check those out. And if you can't check those out, please tune into our stream. Join in with the chat. We do stream my chat and then the voice chat of everyone else. So if you can't make it, or if you're waiting to get in, just kind of hang out in the stream and kind of have some fun with us. With that said, Brent, any last words before we depart for the evening?
No. I think that's it. About Twitch, there's a rumor going around that the Durango, the Xbox 720, will be getting an exclusive Twitch app.
Oh yes.
That won't show up on PS4. So maybe our stream channel of choice is we'll play to our advantage later when you can actually find us on your Xbox 720, listening to us live.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't know. It's just a rumor. A lot of these rumors end up being, nothing but hot air getting blown around. But
well, so Black Ops has a built-in capability now to stream directly to Twitch. So I wouldn't find it too surprising that it could be something that they could just implement straight into the OS of the Xbox Durango.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
So
really, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that would be something I think that's very possible.
Yeah. So we're gonna show up on your Xbox.
Oh, that'd be so
Xbox.
cool. That'd be awesome.
A picture of my Skype avatar, my Skype picture shows up as one of your Xbox 720 blades. Sunglasses. I don't know. But yep. I think this is over. Podtacular 350.
That's
halfway
right.
to 700.
I know. So
almost there, baby.
So close, but so far away.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Keep on fragging tarps, as Game Dude says.
Yeah, exactly.
In our chat.
Yep.
Keep on fragging live streams.
We'll be here for the live streams.